With the full Ryzen family finally here, it's time to stop asking whether you should buy a Ryzen CPU and start asking which one you should buy. As it turns out, the answer is pretty simple. We ran every Ryzen 3, 5, and 7 CPU through a full set of synthetic and real-world benchmarks, as well as a string of gaming tests. And at the end of it all, we came to a surprisingly straightforward set of conclusions. First up, we ran the chips through a series of synthetic benchmarks. As expected, the higher-end Ryzen 7 chips with more cores tended to dominate these results. The Ryzen 7 1800X in particular managed to encode video and compress files much faster than less expensive alternatives. Whether it's a good value or not is a different story. Our gaming tests were a bit more interesting. The 3D Mark synthetical graphical benchmark scaled well with both the GTX 1080 Ti and RX 580 GPUs, but that's a best-case scenario for performance. There was a steady climb in average frame rate during both Deus Ex Mankind Divided and Civilization 6 testing with the higher-end GTX 1080 Ti, but not with the RX 580. With the GPU fully taxed, all of the CPUs, even the lowest-end Ryzen 3 1200, ran at almost the exact same frame rate. That's good news for mid-range system builders looking for a low-cost CPU, although the Ryzen 3 1300X offered a substantial performance jump outside of gaming over the most budget-friendly chip for just a $20 price difference. At the end of the day, actually choosing which Ryzen CPU to buy is super easy. Building a budget rig for gaming? You want the Ryzen 3 1300X. Putting a mid-range to high-end gaming PC together? Pick the Ryzen 5 1600X. Need a workstation? Then you want the Ryzen 7 1700. Intel still has some advantages when it comes to per-core performance, but whichever Ryzen CPU you buy, you'll be getting a chip that's extremely capable of handling today's modern workloads.